Let me ask you something. What if one of the most powerful soil secrets was discovered long before modern gardening even existed? Before chemical fertilizers, before packaged soil, before people became dependent on constant inputs? What if growers already understood something that many people today have forgotten? Now I remember reading about older farming systems in Japan. Small spaces, limited land, but somehow, year after year, those gardens kept producing. Not for one season, for generations. And that immediately caught my attention, because land that produces for generations is not being managed randomly. Healthy soil, wealthy foods, health, strength, stability. Now here is what stood out most. These growers did not treat soil like dirt. They treated it like a living system, something that had to be protected, fed, balanced. And one simple habit kept appearing over and over again. A soil trick so simple, most modern growers overlook it completely. Not adding more, not forcing growth, but constantly returning life back to the soil. Now let me ask you, have you ever noticed how modern gardening often focuses on what to add, but rarely on what should be returned? Drop that in the comments, because what you are about to see is a completely different way of thinking. And once you understand it, you begin to realize why some soil keeps getting stronger, while other soil slowly wears out. And the soil trick these growers understood was something incredibly simple. Nothing valuable left the garden without something being returned. Now think about how different that is from modern gardening. Today, people harvest constantly. Plants come out, nutrients leave, organic matter disappears, and then the soil is expected to keep producing, as if nothing was taken from it. But Japanese growers understood something deeper. Healthy soil, wealthy foods, health, strength, stability. Every harvest changes the soil. Every season removes something. So if you want the soil to remain productive, you must continuously restore life back into it. Now here is where it becomes powerful. They did not waste organic matter. Leaves, plant scraps, straw, kitchen material. It all returned to the soil, not as garbage, as nourishment. Now let me give you a picture. One grower harvests their garden, then removes everything. Bare soil, nothing returned, nothing protected, and over time, the soil becomes weaker, harder, less productive, more dependent on outside inputs. Now the second grower returns life back to the soil constantly, a little at a time, organic matter covering the surface, plant material breaking down naturally, microbial life staying active. And season after season, the soil becomes darker, looser, more alive. Now let me ask you, are you only taking from your soil, or are you returning something back? Because that one habit can determine whether your garden improves or slowly declines. Now here is where it gets even more interesting, because these growers did not just return material to the soil. They understood something else that made the entire system work even better. And that second thing they understood was the importance of keeping the soil covered. Now this may sound simple, too simple, even. But this one habit changes everything. Because exposed soil loses life quickly. The sun dries it out. Wind strips away moisture. Heat weakens microbial activity. And slowly, the soil begins to shut down. Healthy soil, wealthy foods, strength, stability. But Japanese growers understood something modern gardening often ignores. Bare soil is stressed soil. So instead of leaving the ground exposed, they protected it. Straw, leaves, plant residue, simple coverings, but powerful. Now let me give you that picture again. One grower harvests their crops, then leaves the soil open to heat and weather, and within days, moisture disappears. The surface hardens. Life beneath the soil begins to slow down. Now the second grower covers the soil immediately, and something completely different happens. Moisture stays longer, temperature remains stable, microbial life continues working beneath the surface, and over time, the soil becomes easier to work, more balanced, more productive. Now let me ask you, is your soil protected or exposed? Because the difference between those two conditions is often the difference between struggling soil and living soil. Now here is where it all starts connecting. Because once soil is protected and life is continuously returned to it, something powerful begins to happen. The soil starts working with you, instead of against you, and this is where the real transformation begins. Because once the soil is protected and organic matter is constantly returned, the entire system begins to stabilize. Now this is what those growers understood long before modern gardening. Healthy soil is not built through force. It is built through consistency. Healthy soil, wealthy foods. Health, strength, stability. Now think about how many people garden today. Constant adjustments, constant inputs, always trying to fix something. But those older systems worked differently. Instead of shocking the soil, they supported it steadily. A little organic matter, a protected surface, minimal disturbance, and over time, the soil became naturally productive. Now let me give you a picture again. One grower constantly turns the soil, leaves it exposed, and keeps restarting the system every season. The second grower disturbs the soil less, protects what is already alive beneath the surface. And slowly, the soil begins to develop structure. Water moves better, roots spread deeper, microbial life becomes more active, and that is when gardening starts becoming easier, not harder. Now let me ask you, are you constantly restarting your soil, or are you building on what is already alive? Because that question changes everything. Now here is where it becomes even more powerful, because these growers were not just building better soil, they were building something most people are searching for today: resilience. And this is the part most people miss, because resilience is not built overnight. It is built slowly, season after season, by protecting the life beneath the surface. Now think about what happens when difficult conditions come: heat, dry periods, heavy rain, stress. Weak soil struggles immediately, but living soil responds differently. Healthy soil, wealthy foods, health, strength, stability. Because soil filled with organic matter, covered and protected, active with microbial life, can handle pressure better. It holds moisture longer, recovers faster, supports plants more consistently. And that is exactly what those Japanese growers understood. They were not trying to create temporary growth. They were building systems that could endure. Now let me give you that picture one more time. One grower builds fast, quick results, exposed soil, heavy disturbance. Everything looks productive at first, but when stress arrives, the system weakens quickly. Now the second grower builds patiently, protecting the soil, returning life constantly, disturbing less. And over time, their garden becomes stronger every season, not weaker. Now let me ask you, is your garden becoming more resilient or more dependent every year? Because that answer will tell you whether your soil is truly alive. Now we are coming into the final part of this, because once you understand how these growers built resilience, you begin to realize something powerful. This old method may actually be the future of gardening. This is where everything finally comes together, because once you understand what those growers were really doing, you realize it was never just a soil trick. It was a completely different philosophy, a different relationship with the land. Healthy soil, wealthy foods, health, strength, stability. Now let us bring it back one last time. Two people, same climate, same space, same opportunity. The first person follows modern habits. Heavy disturbance, bare soil, constant correction. And every season, the garden depends on more inputs, more fixing, more effort. Now the second person builds differently. They protect the soil, they return life constantly, they disturb less and observe more. And over time, something remarkable happens. The soil becomes softer, richer, more productive. And the garden begins to sustain itself more naturally. That is when gardening changes forever, because now, you are no longer fighting the soil, you are working with it. Now let me ask you one final question. What if the healthiest gardens in the world are not built by adding more, but by protecting what is already alive? Because the truth is, the soil beneath your feet already wants to produce, it already wants to support life, but it needs to be treated like something living, not something to constantly force. And when you finally understand that, everything begins to change. Your soil grows stronger, your plants grow healthier, your harvest becomes more reliable. And over time, you stop building a garden that survives season to season and start building one that becomes more abundant every year. Because when knowledge meets living soil, abundance appears. Remember, wealthy foods lead to health, strength, and peace of mind. Thank you for watching, and do not forget to subscribe for more practical wisdom and simple methods to help you grow abundance right where you are. Until next time, keep growing.